Cameron, thanks for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
First up, just big congrats on your selection for World Champs, just coming up this weekend. Obviously a pretty select GB team that's been picked. So does it make it extra special to be part of that group?
Yeah, it's a really good little group actually. And when the selection came out, I was happy to see Joe Blackmore on there as well, like from the U23. I think having two riders in the U23 men does represent the kind of strength of British U23 at the moment. It's a shame like riders like Rory Maguire and Corn Carrick Anderson couldn't be selected off the back of their seasons, but the American Worlds is a little bit special with how the logistics and just the size of it. So the team is smaller than normal, but it's still pretty competitive.
And yeah, you mentioned logistics there. Obviously it's in America, for those who don't know, which is pretty different to what we've had the last few years. Kind of what are some of the differences that you're having to factor in your preparation for a race over stateside?
Yeah, so we fly on the Monday, but the day before that I'm racing a World Cup in the Netherlands. So the logistics of just making sure the bikes are all good and ready to go. When you fly, we're having to bring a lot kind of more compact setup. So I say just two bikes, and it's just a lot smaller. So you have to be pretty kind of specific with what you are going to bring. So yeah, I think the last few weeks it was nice to be home and kind of get a bit of space from it all and get things kind of planned out in advance, because I think I've felt myself getting a bit stressed sometimes about things. But if I just make a list and just keep organized, then things will be good.
Nice. And being back on Scottish roads for a week or two, training, I've seen with your coach James McCallum. Was that a kind of key little preparation period for the World Champs, and how are you feeling going into it?
Yeah, that was always planned really, like through the season. I'm just learning about how my body kind of responds to the racing and the training, and I'm realizing that I do go well off the back of lots of training, but that's hard to get in when I'm in Belgium. And when you're between races, you obviously want to kind of keep an eye on your fatigue. And when you're racing twice a week, like you are literally just getting over fatigue from one race and then getting ready for another. So I decided to skip Flamanville, which was a bit of a shame because I was up there for the overall World Cup. But I think in the long run, it will pay off. I hope it pays off. And it was good to be back at home, and just, the familiarity of just heading out on the road, not needing to think about routes or anything. And just like, I've got these efforts. I know exactly what climb to go to or what road to do them on. So that is just home comforts as well. Mum, dad, my cat and everything. So it's good.
And without giving away too many trade secrets, what kind of training have you done, or any particular sessions just to prepare you for that season-long goal?
There's not a huge amount of work that can be done, but that kind of 2 weeks out, it was a little bit of gym just to kind of keep that level high. And then on the bike stuff, really kind of focusing on those upper zones, zone 5, zone 6, and the rest of it being pretty steady. Cyclocross racing is just so polarized. You spend so many minutes and time in those kind of really high zones. So if I can improve my kind of ceiling and kind of push that up, then that's what's going to be most useful for Worlds.
And looking at the course, obviously there's been a World Cup there. You didn't race it, but you've obviously watched it and studied the course. What do you make of it? And I take it you've tailored your training a little bit towards the course that you're going to be tackling.
It's a weird one. I think a lot of people have questions about it, just because the World Cup was kind of, I think, not normal conditions, really kind of heavy and muddy. I think what they're more expecting is kind of calm, settled winter conditions. So kind of rock solid ground because it gets quite cold at night in Fayetteville. So I think there's a chance it could be muddy, there's a chance it will be dry, so it'll be somewhere in between there. And I think that the main thing will be the kind of hills on the course. That from what I've heard, like you could be climbing for like a minute or so at one time, which is quite solid in cross. So it just depends what they've done with the tracks. I saw on Magdalene Rochette's Instagram a few days ago that she's been training on the course and it looked quite soft. So that's kind of good for me, I think. I would prefer more kind of slick conditions over a really fast like crit race, because of how they've made the course and how it's man-made. It's quite almost banked, like there's a lot of kind of banked corners, and I think on a really fast day that it could make some interesting racing, but that wouldn't suit me as much. So I'm hoping for more of a heavy kind of mud race.
But the elevation gain akin to almost a mountain bike race surely must suit a rider of your profile.
Yeah, I hope so. It depends kind of how much speed you're bringing onto the climbs or what comes before them, because if if the descents aren't kind of aggressive enough, you end up kind of being able to sit in and that type of thing, and that would make really close racing. So yeah, there's just in my head it feels like there's loads of unknowns, but that's the same for everyone basically, and it'll be the same for the guys who even raced there before, because I think the lap in the World Cup was going to be way too short, so they're having to add bits anyway. So that kind of a broad World Cup, I think maybe helps me out a bit. It takes everyone kind of off their home soil, so it's kind of a level playing ground. In the other kind of World Championships I've done, they've been more Europe based, and I think that just is easier. But it can give kind of home riders a bit of an advantage, whereas this, obviously, the Americans will have a home advantage, but my kind of competitors from Netherlands and Belgium, they're in the same situation as me.
Absolutely. Just reflecting on your season a little bit so far, obviously the highlight being that World Cup win, that was a pretty special moment for you.
Yeah, it was kind of the pinnacle of kind of what I had been working towards in the season, and I'd shown little kind of bits of what was maybe possible, and people are like, oh, you'll win one soon, all this, and that got a little bit frustrating, because like, you don't win one until you actually win one. You're not a World Cup winner until you actually do it. There's no point in just being close. So to actually do it, and to do it like with a fair gap to second place and just no issues, everyone was there, and just get it done in Belgium as well, I think it's that those, to me personally, just adds another few little levels. So I'm really proud of that race.
And it kind of wasn't the only highlight of your season. You've had a cracking season so far, but I'm guessing, when thinking potentially to European champs here, there's been races where you probably haven't been quite as pleased. And I suppose, what have you learned from those races just as much as those where you've gone well?
Yeah, like that kind of period, I had a good few weeks of just the kind of highs and lows of the racing, and realizing that it's what I've learned is that staying at one level is really hard, and I have a lot more respect for the guys who are always at a consistent level, because there are just so many variables of your body, of your mind, of training, and just keeping that one consistent level is so hard. So I know that my potential is maybe at this level, but to meet that every week by week is really hard. And Europeans, for me, it was I kind of fluffed it up kind of tactically. I just didn't play it right, which is more frustrating to look back on, probably, because I knew that my legs were really good, and they were probably good enough to podium or to win, but tactically just not being there. But yeah, as you say, like the learning, what I learned from it was super important. And even 1 week later in Tabor, I raced way smarter and got third place. So it's just having that mental ability to just be critical in the season, but to keep moving, because you can't like cross. It happens so quick, week by week, so many races, that you can't dwell on anything. You just have to, put it to bed, put it aside, and just get on with the next racing. And it's always just a balance of that.
I suppose that's a pretty good message to anyone racing cross or any other discipline, that even a rider of your caliber, kind of one of the best in the world, you are still always learning.
Yeah, and like I say, with all the different variables that we face, like there's just no race is the same, and that's what I love about cyclocross, is that every time you turn up to the race, it's just like a blank slate. Like the course is always going to be different to what we've done before. The riders are always going to be a different shape. You're always going to be feeling different. So I think that's it, because it's so uncontrollable. It feels awesome when you do kind of master it. and that's kind of, yeah, it's a really good feeling when you just kind of, yeah, you take in all of the kind of uncontrollables and you just kind of do a good job and do a good race.
Nice. So applying all that, kind of, what are the aspirations? What would success look like for you out of the World Champs?
Yeah, so I think it's possible that I can win it. So if it's possible, then that's the aim. So yeah, it sounds a bit weird even in my own head to say that, because I feel I should be proud that I can at least say that. And it's what I've been training for the last few months, is to win world champs, which is, yeah, not many people can say that. So no matter kind of what happens, I think I'm proud of what I've done over the last few months. But yeah, it's a big goal, and yeah, some days I'm nervous, some days I'm super chill, but overall it's just, yeah, full focus on making sure that when I start the race, I'm as good as I can be. Anything after that, it's the easy bit really. It's just doing the thing I enjoy, which is racing around as fast as I can. So yeah, that's the goal, is to be right up there at the front. Yeah, the U23 category is very competitive. We're showing week in, week out that we ride well with the elites, and the level is really high in the elites. So there's a good 5 or 6 guys who can win it, I think, in Fayetteville in my category. So it will just be about who's prepared the right way, who's mentally in the right place, and then after that it will just it'll be what it'll be.
Awesome. Well, on behalf of everyone in the Scottish cycling community, best of luck. We know you'll do us proud.
Thank you very much. Thanks.